G'day everyone, Daniel Anderson here. Welcome to this episode where we're going to tackle the topic of SharePoint Online external sharing. Now, there always seems to be confusion about where we go to set things up correctly to allow external sharing or lock down external sharing on particular site collections, but also at the tenant level. Okay. Now, do we need to lock it down at the tenant level, then open it up at the site collection level, or do we open it up at the tenant level and lock it down at the site collection level? So let's jump in and take a look and walk through where these are and what the process is to allow or deny external sharing at each site collection. So the example where it usually comes up is around projects or collaborative sites with external parties. So we might want to not allow external sharing to most or 90% of the site collections that we have, but there might be the occasion or the functionality is needed to be able to collaborate with external people, whether that be running a project or an event or that type of thing. So the first thing we're going to look at is at the tenant level. Now, this is an important setting to understand, and it does, if you are planning to use external sharing, then this needs to be enabled, all right, at the tenant level. Because if it's not enabled at the tenant level, you can't do anything externally at the site collection level, all right, because the most restrictive permissions apply, all right. So we can't lock it down and then open it up. So let's just jump in and take a look at what I'm talking about. So what we can see here is I'm in the SharePoint Admin Center. I'm inside the sharing section under policies. And you can see here that this permission level here is set to new and existing guests. Now, I'm just going to drop that down to be least permissive. So it's technically really not enabling external sharing. Now, I'm just going to save that. And now I'm going to jump into the active sites. And we're going to take a look at brand, okay? And we're going to take a look at the settings for the brand site. Now you can see here that everything is grayed out above the no external sharing allowed setting, all right? Because I've set that at the tenant level, I can't choose anything else, all right? And let's jump into that site now, and we'll have a look at what happens when somebody tries to share this site, all right? So we'll jump into here, we'll click the share button. We'll type in an external account and we'll try and share that. Now you see here that you will get a message to say that your organization policies don't allow for that. All right. So that's that level. Now, if I now jump back into the sharing settings under policies, and I'm just going to drag this slider back up to new and existing guests, and we'll save that setting. And what's going to happen now is that the different levels are now going to be available for me to change this site collection to. So you can see here now that I've got two options that have now been made available: existing guests only or new and existing guests. All right. So on this brand site, I'm going to change this across to new and existing guests. You can see that it's updating here. Once that's updated, I'm going to open up that site now, and this time I'm going to go to share, and I'm going to go type in an external email address here, and bang, we're allowed to invite an external a guest into this site collection. Okay, so you can see there that if there is a need to use external sharing as part of your environment, then you do need to allow that at the tenant level, and you can set the maximum level at that tenant level, and then at the site collection level we either reduce the access, or we can go up to the level that is set at the tenant. All right, now there's a couple of other things that you can do in this sharing section here. Now if we were to allow anyone, so that's the most permissive, then there are some things that we can set at this level as well. All right. So if we wanted to have this anyone option open, there are some settings around expiration dates for those anyone links. So we can terminate those links after a specific date. And we can also set what's a good thing to think about is the default the default option that is chosen when somebody tries to share a file or folder. So when you go to share, obviously if you're in a document library and you click on the share button, the default that I'm talking about there is this option that populates here. So people you specify can edit, and that's what appears here. Okay, and you can change that if we change that to anyone with a link, and then tried to share something from that share button, the default option would be anyone. Now in this case, I haven't enabled anyone in this particular site collection. You can see that that's still grayed out. But if I was to go into the active sites and then go into brand, and then I can change the sharing permissions, the sharing levels at this site now to allow for anyone, and I now save that, and I'll just close this down and I'll then open it back up again. And what we should have now is the ability to share a document, or even share the whole site if we wanted to anyone. All right, so I'll click share, and you can see that that default option now is set to anyone with this link can edit. All right, but we can control those. We can control a little bit here what people can and can't do. So we could also do that all the links expire within 7 days. So that means if somebody shares something anonymously to anybody, then we can also make sure that that link expires within 7 days. And then if we jump back into the active site section, we click on sharing and we click on anyone, you can see that we can now change and we can choose that there. Okay. So I hope that clears a few things up for you. If you do require the capabilities to allow external sharing, you do need to have that open at the tenant level and then lock it down for the sites that you don't want to have externally shared. But that allows you to then open up the sites that you do need that external sharing to be taking part in those sites. All right. Hope that brings you some value. Let me know if there's any questions in the comments below, and I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.